Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 10 of DeGodCast, the podcast by DGens for DGens. Today is May 3rd. It's JB, part of your trio of hosts, along with the homies Chapter and Slate. We have Jords, aka @earlyish_adopter on Twitter with us today to talk Boogles and whether or not they are actually the Illuminati of Solana. But first, Chapter, hit him with the decap.
Yo, let's see. Been kind of busy, but I got y'all. Let's see. For the recap, first, the announcement of the Big Three acquisition. Quick rundown. It's 12 teams. Each team is fractionalized in 1,000 NFTs, 2 tiers, 25 fire NFTs for 25K a piece, 975 gold NFTs, each going for 5 bands a piece on ETH, giving all types of wild benefits for holders in the Big Three experience. One difference between the two is fractionalized ownership that comes with the Fire NFTs, giving 25 holders all types of special abilities, including utilization of the specific and exclusive team's IP and getting motherfucking championship rings. So check out the last Twitter space if you late, because once the news gamma slapped the planet, Big Three founders Ice Cube and Jeff Quatinitz hit the streets with the AMA on the project details, this real shit about Fireball, and the official project release for the Big Three this upcoming weekend, and how they want to expand it after. But to paraphrase the whole acquisition, the homie Francois DeGods talked to the Divine Council and said, hey, Big Three, after the homies unanimously agreed, Frank pulled up and said, fuck fractions, this shit free, and that we're going to need all of these fire NFTs, and we believe the move is the killer threes, because everybody know the real motherfucking G's have always been unapologetically repping the three. But we not talking about Chance the Rapper. Per a Yahoo Finance article written this week, 625 G's was used to cop those 25 heat rocks, but you know we got it for the low though. Shout out to Cube and the team, and follow the Fourth Man Podcast on Twitter @FourthManPod to stay fully informed on all things verbalized about the Big Three, and follow the Killer Threes on Twitter. Pull up on CBS. We got YouTube TV, because who has cable? Motherfucking merch coming, chip coming, rings coming, and we hitting the block early today, so Roadmap 3.33 is out when you hear this. Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go. There you go. Early start time threw you for a little bit of a loop there, but you powered through
facts.
it. There it is.
I just fucking woke up.
Jesus, bro. Web3
that was pretty
life,
hard once you got through it, though.
Oh,
yeah. Bars. All right. So, like I said, we got George from Boogle Mafia here. It is a pleasure to have you, sir, and congrats on the second to last Boogle auction, first and foremost.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pretty wild journey. It was good to see the last auction kind of going pretty crazy. Good to be here. Slightly
well, some would say. Boogle number 99 for 2,000.42 SOL, I believe. Chump change, pocket change for the Boogle fam.
Is that considered free for Boogles?
Nah,
I think
I do not endorse doing free underneath any Boogle sale.
Not even for the memes? All right. For reference and to really talk free, Boogle number 3 sold for 2 SOL 8 months ago. So quick 1000x to the buyer. Congrats. Do you know, on that note, if any of those early winners have sold and taken the 1000x?
Yeah, it's actually been pretty insane to see kind of the diamond fisting of the early buyers. This was August in Solana when there wasn't a whole heap of things around. There was Soulpunks and Solarians were kind of around, but at that point Solarians still had a bit of interest. But the Monkeys had minted, or the Gen 2 had minted maybe 2 weeks before our first auction, and I think the DGen Apes just had their mint a couple days before that first auction. So there really wasn't, much of a lay of the land when it came to who was in and around and willing to spend, or like who would be capable of holding a 1000x. And this is when Sol was maybe like, and this was when Sol was maybe like $65-$70 as well. So I mean, it's just about back there now, but it is relevant in the point. And yeah, like we've actually had, out of those first maybe 10 buyers, I reckon maybe 7 or 8 are still holding.
Wow.
which is pretty insane. And I mean, I invest differently to that. Like I'm not the guy who holds a Boogle from 1 sold to 2000, and I'm not the guy who mints a Bored Ape
Me
and still
either.
has it. But you've got to give credit when it's due with people
Yeah.
who hold assets like that and just don't sell it.
Dude,
It's
fuck
been
diamond
pretty
hands.
crazy.
That's diamond balls, diamond cock, diamond everything. Jeez. Yeah, so when you catch somebody out there on Twitter talking, oh, SMB and DAAs are the OGs, don't forget to throw the Boogles in there. You're going to catch these graveyard hands. So, all right, before we really dive into Boogles and all that, could you just take a second to introduce yourselves for some of our listeners that are maybe stuck in the DeGod's echo chamber and might not know who you are, and maybe tell us a little bit about how you got into crypto and NFTs while you're at it.
Yeah, absolutely. So go by Jords, or the handle on my Twitter is earlyish adopter. I am most known for being kind of part of the Boogle team, and really kind of driving that from August. And then how I kind of first got into crypto is a little bit of a journey. Like I haven't been into crypto for a whole heap of time compared to some of the other people, but on Solana, people call me an OG because I had a Phantom and a Solid, if some people remember that. But yeah, so I got into crypto. My first purchase was off the back of the COVID year in 2020. I was working like a corporate role, and with the COVID side of things, obviously it kind of all went um, tits up. So we had like a thing in Australia where if you were stood down from your role, you could get like a little bit a week basically to make sure that you were okay to go about your life and like kind of wait around until the job was able to be returned to. Um, and then I also so I was kind of on that, had a bit of time to spend with family and friends, which is awesome. But the other thing that the Australian government did was let you access your like 401k, or in Australia we call it superannuation.
Nice.
And if you were affected by COVID, kind of dropping out if you were stood down as a result. So basically, what I did is I looked at my super and I realized that the last this is like maybe June of 2020, and my super had returned me like negative 1.5% on a 12-month turnaround.
Love to
Um,
hear it.
in a market that was just up like 40% or something in the last few months. So I initially thought, I could take that money out, put it in an index fund, and outperform my super, but also have it in like a more liquid way where I could buy a house or whatever it might have been, or
Mhm.
use that in something else that was more interesting than it just sitting there, because we can't really touch it till we're 65 or 70, or whenever the government
Mhm.
lets us get there when we get there. Um,
If we
and
get there.
yeah, exactly. And then, so basically, like, long story short, that led me down a rabbit hole of like degenning penny gold stocks on the Australian stock market, and becoming more and more risk on. And you watch enough YouTube videos, and someone will eventually mention Ethereum or Bitcoin. So then I kind of got stuck into that rabbit hole in the end of, oh, well, I think it was maybe August, probably around, yeah, probably August 2020 was my first purchase, which was ETH. And I kind of I have a pretty consistent theme with when I need to get into something, I have to like oversubscribe to it to force myself to actually learn about it. Um, yeah, so this crypto thing was kind of swirling around my head for so long, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy some, and then I can actually understand. Um, then it'll force me to understand, what the fuck it's about. And that's kind of how I did it. And then, yeah, I managed to ride the top, ride the lows, and found NFTs along the way.
Nice. Good for you, man, because I just buy shit and then like forget about it. Buying something does not mean I'm necessarily going to learn about it. I'll tell you that for sure. um, all right. So ETH first, about a year before Boogles. Was Boogle your first? Like, how did you go from ETH to Solana? ETH and Bitcoin, you said, were like the first kind of cryptos that you figured out about. And then how did Solana come up? How did you make that transition, I guess?
Yeah, so I think like everyone has a similar journey when they get into crypto. They get, the gateway is Bitcoin or ETH, and then you start looking for, all right, I've got $10,000. I need to make $1 million next week. Like you start looking for what else is there, and then that kind of leads most people down, just get burning their capital through leverage trading, which I certainly did a fair share of. But yeah, so like I was, what really happened was I heard about Solana, and I knew about SBF, and I'd like um, kind of been in and around that for a while, but didn't really have the capital to deploy. And at the time, I was a bit of a link marine, which thank God I cut that eventually. But what happened was I knew about Solana and I bought it at about, I think, maybe $12 or something, and I sold it at $18, and I felt really, really good about myself. That was great trade, so happy. And then it just flew up to, I think the highs of May was maybe $67 or something like that. And I basically said to myself, if I can ever buy Solana under $30 again, I'm gonna just buy it with as much as I can, because at the time I think I did a few different trades on the way up to Solana. I think I bought it maybe 12, sold at 18, like bought it 20, sold at 22, just these
Nice.
micro trades that really wasn't the right thing to do. And then what happened is fortunately in May, I just, watched 60% of my net worth evaporate, but I was very active with like reallocating, because I really didn't like the state of my portfolio. I had some ETH, I had some Bitcoin, but then I had like a chunk of Link. I had some other just dog shit that really was not good. And I just basically gutted my portfolio and said, I'm going to keep like this much ETH, and then I'm just going to put everything else into Solana and FTT. And that was, around the, like, we had a fair while to buy the bottom. And I just kind of like DCA'd the whole bag into Sol. And then I minted some Sol Punks, which is like, I mean, we say minted, but if you guys are around there, you just had to like
Send
send
money to the
Sol to an
wallet.
address. Yeah. Yeah. So that was kind of like the journey to buying Sol. And I had a few Sol Punks and kind of messed around with it, but I didn't really have too much like, I mean, there wasn't really much to look at on the NFT side of Sol, but that kind of coincides when I got really into ETH NFTs as well, because
Mhm.
I didn't want to look at charts. Like I had my money in crypto, and I was like, cool, I'm just gonna hold this to zero from here, like, or I'm going to ride it up, because I was pretty comfy with where we were. Like I think my last buy on ETH, I was at a bachelor party, and like a Bucks party, and it was like at the very bottom, and I had had a few beers, and I just remember going, fuck it, I'm just gonna like I'm gonna put the rest of my account in ETH right now, and then I'm just like gonna turn my phone off and enjoy the rest of the night.
Fuck
Um,
yeah.
and that was at like, I think it might have even been in the 1700s or like the low 18s. Um, but yeah, like, and
Fuck
then
yeah.
from there, I like deployed the capital I wanted to deploy into the things that I wanted to go into. And then I was like, all right, fuck it. Like I need to have something else to look at that's not charts, but I want to stay active, and I want to make sure I'm still like learning this stuff, because I'd only just come in August. So I just felt like I'd had so much to catch up on, and on my understanding of like this whole space. I knew how much opportunity there was, because, every day new people are printing crazy amounts of money. And I knew I wasn't going to make it via leverage trading, because I'd already burnt a bunch of money there. So I think I naturally, and like I think I used to be kind of in the sneaker scene a bit. So the NFT side of things just really attracted me, and I think I could grasp it pretty quickly.
Okay. Real quick, because I'm always curious what it is that makes people go, I'm just gonna dump all this bullshit that I have and put it all into something that I believe in. What was the trigger for you to do that with Soul? Because it sounds like somewhat of a conviction play.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like it was two parts of it. Because one, I came to the realization, and I don't. It's not financial advice. I don't know. I'm just gonna do a
Oh
high
yeah,
level on that.
Nothing
NFADYORMF.
is ever on this show. Trust.
Yeah, entertainment purpose only. I, in my own brain, decided that Link was no longer going to be a productive asset in my portfolio,
Amen.
and then and I wanted to and then I wanted to reallocate that to something that I liked. I'd had the experience of sitting on the sidelines of the previous Soul run after owning it, and I just like yeah, I just had that thing in my brain. Like it really wasn't a like 200 IQ play of researching it, understanding that like the L1 play is going to be the next next big run up. It was very much a 50 IQ play of I had bought this before and I regretted selling it, and now I have an opportunity to buy what I believe to be the bottom of the market. So I'm just going to pick what I think is going to run the hardest. Um, and it was just a bet on like SPF, FDT, like Sol was actually like something that was really interesting. It had this massive run. It looked the strongest. Like I'm a really big fan of buying whatever looks the strongest in weakness. Like when you
Mm.
see like a 1% market bounce and one coin is up like 10% and then it goes down less than the others, like I usually try and load up on that before the next actual run because that's how I usually invest. And yeah, I just 50 IQ'd it. I was like, I want to buy a bunch of FTT and a bunch of Sol, and that's going to be a fair whack on my portfolio. Um, and yeah, like it worked out.
Nice.
Yeah, well, I'm like 40 IQ then if you were 50 IQ in it, because I was an XRP warrior to start. Then I was a Link Marine.
Ooh.
And then I started buying Sol at like $240. So I'm just in the fucking trenches over here still. But somehow still up because of DeGods and NFTs, to be honest.
Preach.
So we're chilling.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I fully could not just trade coins. I'm not a chart guy at all. I read some of these like TA threads on Twitter, and I'm just like, I mean, all I see is the arrow that goes up, so like word, but I don't know what any of the words mean.
Yeah, word, same. I was be like, oh, red, green, and be like, oh, is it red? Okay, cool, bye. Like,
Bro, I like didn't even know what a candle was for the longest time, and I was scared to ask because everybody just kept talking about candles, and I was like, what the fuck are we? What do you mean, bro?
it'd be like moving average. I'd be like, what? Like math? Like what are we talking about?
Yeah, all right. So on to Boogles, because like you said, that's kind of what you're most well known for, and probably what is attributed to a lot of your financial success, maybe. First off, what is your role in Boogle?
Yeah, perfect. So the roles are pretty much just kind of like co-founder. We all wear a fair amount of hats. Like we all, I mean, not that there's a massive team or anything, but yeah, like my main focus with the Boogle, with what I would define my role as is probably partnerships, branding, marketing, community management. I mean, like there's a fair few heads to wear, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like my role would be co-founder as a high level.
Okay. So what was the like founding origin of Boogles? What was the original concept that you and your other co-founders, decided to make into a project?
Yeah, it's actually interesting because like we kind of decided on the co-founder roles just based off the startup meme that anyone can kind of be a co-founder even if they weren't actually there for the founding of it. Because
Yeah.
yeah, like what a lot of people don't really realize is myself, I wasn't actually part of like the planning and everything of like the character. Basically, how the story goes is that um, I was obviously into Sol and I was into NFTs and I was just kind of scrolling around figuring out my way after all the monkey well not after, that was before, but I came across the Boogle account that had maybe 200 followers or something like that, but the character and the name really resonated with me. I just thought it was really cool and really different. The only things I'd seen auctioned on Solana was the Gen 1 sets of the
Mm-hmm.
SMBs. So I'd really not seen like anyone use the Metaplex contract, or like it was just really interesting. So what happened was I reached out with my my mighty, I don't know, 1,700 followers or whatever it might have been at the time. Um, and I basically said like, this is awesome. Like, how can I get one? And I was just like really, really into the concept of owning one of these things. And then based on the response, it was kind of apparent that maybe I could help out a little bit, or maybe there was a bit of a gap in like the planning and the communication side of things. So what actually happened was Swaggy, who's the artist behind the Gen 1 Boogles, and the creator of the Boogle IP, really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we got to talking and we kind of came to like a Discord handshake agreement as to how I could maybe help out because English wasn't his like first language, so and I'd come from like my like IRL experience was in that kind of marketing and partnership side of things. So um, yeah, like we just kind of came to an agreement, and like at the time I was working a day job, and it was just a way to have like a bit more of a footprint in something that I was really passionate about. And just I was always kind of looking for how I could be involved more than just kind of like buying and selling, and um,
Mm-hmm.
just try and get like a little bit more involvement in the ecosystem, even if it was like not paid or anything. I just wanted to be like a little bit more present. I wanted to contribute some stuff. Um, and yeah, that was just like out of kind of pure sheer luck that we got to talking and everything like that. But that's like the origin story of Boogle was like this dude with a you know a character that he drew and came up with a name, and then we restructured the release structure um and everything. Like I kind of yeah, like we just changed up how it would be released, total numbers and all those kind of things. But the
Yeah.
origin story is probably different than a lot of people know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone knows the origin story really, if I had to guess. What on that note, like what was the original goal, would you say? Was it just to like sell these sweet pixel ghosts, or was there any kind of like not utility, but you know what I mean, like end
Mm.
goal behind it or
No, well, that was the thing. So like we I partnered with Swaggy, and we had the first auction, like the first 10 Boogles were done. And we had the first auction of I think the first auction was 10. Um and that was the format. It was initially going to be a bit like a lower number, but I thought 100 was pretty clean. Like there's been a lot of well, not a lot of projects, but a lot of things done where it's like nice round numbers is always good.
mm,
Um, and yeah, the plan from there was planning. Like there wasn't really an initial concept as to exactly what it would lead to, and certainly not to where it is now. But the plan was to make these cool ghosts, get people to love them, and hopefully become one of the projects that people were interested in. Because at the time there wasn't really anything in that massive gap. Like there was a 10K Degen Apes, there was 5K SMBs, 10K Solarians that weren't minted out yet,
mm-hmm,
10K Punks, and then maybe if you want to include like Apeshit Social or something. But there really wasn't like anything that was like low cap or boutique or scarce or um I mean relative scale, they're all boutique scarce, but yeah, there just wasn't really anything that was a little bit more just like lower supply and a little bit more intimate when it came to the community.
mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to fill that gap and see if people cared for it really. Like it could have been a failed experiment. It could have been started it and no one like maybe I'm just a weird guy who really liked the ghost and no one else cared. Like it could have gone very differently, but for whatever reason, I think other people understood that there was a gap there, and yeah, like it just kind of took on a world of its own. And one thing that's always been like core to the success is us staying very flexible with what what the rollout process is and everything in between. Like I think if we were to have launched with a rigorous roadmap and had everything outlined from day one,
Mm-hmm.
given how much the ecosystem has changed over the last 6 months, 6 days, it always changes. Um, that's allowed us to be a lot more savvy with uh, how it's got and how far it's come. Yeah, the original plan was like release some cool ghosts, hope people like it, and try and build something special. But it certainly wasn't, it wasn't started with the idea of taking over or doing anything
Mm-hmm.
crazy, really.
So looking back at past auctions, there's a couple uh I guess you would call them like big step ups in the sales prices. Like you go from the first handful being like under 10, maybe even like closer to like the 5 6 mark, and then you jump to like 20s and 30s, and then you jump from there to like hundreds and hundreds of 20s, and then obviously now we're at like two fucking thousand. Like do you think were there any specific catalysts along the way that kind of helped to blow the Boogle brand up a little bit, or do you think it's always just kind of been the low supply tight community, maybe even a little bit of like mystery to it that's been the appeal.
Yeah, there's definitely some catalysts that have happened along the way. I mean, like most projects on Sol, we've got to be super grateful for Big Brain's involvement. I think that guy basically
Fair.
has the whole ecosystem on his shoulders, and yeah, an absolute like gem. And yeah, I can't say enough nice things
Word.
about that guy.
Yeah, shout out to SBB.
Yeah, absolutely. And he came in our maybe our third auction, I think,
Oh, wow.
which would have been five Boogles. And his intention was basically to sweep them all. And he ended up buying like a fair few. But there was already kind of bidding strength, which was really surprising. Like at the time, floors were to be swept and no one was really going to do anything about it, and auctions weren't really tried and tested. So there was actually like a shout out to DGen Swings and Backbooks, like these guys who are like kind of pillars of the ecosystem. They were there then and bidding what at the time would have seemed like a crazy amount for a pixelated ghost. But yeah, Big Brain picked up a whole heap and tweeted about it, and I think really kind of gave us a good push in the right direction. And then there's been obviously a lot of different catalysts along the way that's pushed it. KSI rep to Boogle on his main account for a while. Like Sobi picked one up. Like we've had a lot of things that have happened along the way. But yeah, that's the auctions are a double-edged sword. They allow full price discovery, but they also allow to finish and no one bids on it. Like it's I think I've aged about 50 years since we started this stuff, but it's yeah, like there's definitely a lot of people to thank, and a lot of catalysts that have happened. But yeah, Big Brain would be the first big push that I think happened, which we'll always be thankful for.
So there's only 100 Boogles. Am I correct?
Yeah, so we've got like called Gen 1 Boogles, so we're on 99 out of 100, and that's the hard cap on Gen 1.
Do you have a custom one, or because I can't find the one with the headphones, yours, on like the Holoplex page?
Yeah, so I rugged myself. Mine's an honorary.
Oh no.
Oh.
And
Wait.
the worst part is it was minted as number, I think it was number 22 or something. And then I went back and I was like, no, we need to, because it was minted initially as number 22 when like I was just talking to Swaggy and we got it sorted and he minted it for me. And then I was like, no, okay, like we've got to burn this. It can't be part of the supply. So I burnt my Gen 1 Boogle and turned it into an honorary.
Oh my god.
Not my best financial play, but I think it was the right thing to do.
That's incredible. I once was slightly inebriated and DM'd SBB asking if I could borrow a Boogle just so I could like hang out in Yall's Discord. He said he didn't really understand what I meant by borrow a $100,000 picture of a ghost. But do you have any extras that I could do that one day just to like come shoot the shit with you guys?
Oh, I love that. I think there's been so many funny interactions with I remember when Soft was trying to buy and he spoke to one of the guys actually, shout out Crypto Investor. He he was one of the guys who bought two in the first auction. He bought one for like 2 Sol and one for 7 Sol. And Soft was shopping around for one that had like a kind of purple background. And he basically was just like, no, I'm not interested in selling. Like, no, didn't hear offers, didn't do anything. And then he went to Big Brain, and Big Brain said something along the lines of like, oh, I don't know how many I have, but I'm not selling.
Oh my gosh, it's unreal, man. I love that.
Yeah, it's insane.
So what would you say, and maybe there is no answer to this, but what is the current like vision or status of Boogles? Does that make sense?
Vision
Like-
or status?
All right, yeah. So those are two different things. Status would be so status is to sell out cell number 100, the last auction. So I guess the question that I meant was, what is the like future vision / roadmap? Is there any? Are you guys going to do bracelets? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, wristbands.
Wristbands, sorry, not friendship bracelets.
Fucking Zoom
Uh,
call where everybody just high fives the screen.
yeah, so like that's absolutely kind of being worked on. It's I recorded the presentation and kind of had all my thoughts compiled as to what the future looks like, and kind of sent that around to all the Boogles. So where internally that's kind of been unveiled, I suppose. But externally,
Okay.
probably like keeping a lid on it for the time being. We're not looking to, reinvent the wheel or do anything absolutely crazy. But I think that we're going to do things in a way that's true to the brand values, and hopefully is the right direction for the brand to go in. I think that we are what we've been able to achieve with only 100 pieces up until today has been pretty spectacular, and I think that there's a lot more for Boogle to become, and a lot more for Boogle to really be. I think like the kind of statement that we want to go with is like the end marks the beginning in a lot of ways. Like there's not many projects that are where we are at this point in time with in regards to like the community and the total holders and everything like that. So I'm probably gonna dodge the question a little bit.
All right.
But yeah, it is like actively kind of being worked on and discussed and refined internally. But we're still, it's a slow mint. We're still minting. Like we gotta focus on wrapping up the Gen 1 auctions. But yeah, it's certainly not over after the auctions.
I think that really speaks kind of to like the boutiqueness of the collection and how tight knit it is that you've told all the holders what's going on, but no one else knows what's going on. I think that's pretty cool. There's probably not many collections that you'd be able to do that with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk to Frank about doing that?
Just a small 10,000 people to keep their mouth shut.
So you keep saying Gen 1, which to me says there's obviously a Gen 2 planned. Is there any chance that Gen 2 is a little friendlier for those of us with lighter wallets? Or are you going to stick with the, $100,000 PFP roadmap?
I think should we look to expand or anything like that, would certainly be more like, not that we have been unwelcoming or anything. Like the auction started, the auctions until I think number 90 or something started at 1 sol. So we never intended on pricing a whole heap of people out. It's just kind of the nature of the platform. But yeah, like if we are to go down that route and expand, then we would hope to welcome a whole lot of new people. And the core goal of Boogle was never to be a completely unachievable asset. It was to be kind of the benevolent ghost of the ecosystem and try and contribute back wherever possible. And I think we can continue kind of reflecting those values moving forward.
I love that. Yeah, I'm self-proclaimed not really a big pixel art guy, but I definitely get what you're saying about the Boogle PFP just having like an allure to it. So even if I could get I'll go buy a little Boogle. Duh. Forgot those exist. What are your thoughts on that? I remember Boogle Deriv season. I made a couple bucks flipping some of those. And honestly, I got raided in Discord in the project I launched recently by little Boogles, and it was fucking insane. I had no idea that these guys were still around. So like mini shout out to them. But what are your thoughts on the whole Boogle Deriv thing?
Yeah, it was an interesting one to navigate. And like so it was interesting because we had so much time to prepare, because like we knew it was coming. At some point, someone was going to do it, but I think the Boogle IP kind of got away with it for longer than like Thugs and SMBs and stuff, because there was only like 50 pieces released or something. So it would take someone who wanted to monetize it like well, not a lot of effort, but a reasonable amount of effort to actually like build out different attributes and like have more than just like same attribute but like smaller. So we kind of like didn't have to deal with it for a while, but I knew it was coming. Like it was progressively more obvious that there was going to be derivatives coming out. And yeah, it was weird. It was strange to deal with. Like I think the main issue with derivatives from like a founder point of view or from like a team point of view is that you don't want people making the mistake that it's your own brand and then having no control with how they're treated or what the financial outcome is. And you also don't want to have yeah, you just don't want people losing money. Like the fact of the matter is a lot of the deriv projects are intended to be rugs, hard or soft. They like you go through the sea of derivative projects on Magic Eden, and there's usually a 0.0 in front of it. So it's like
Yep.
you really don't like to see people losing money, and it ends up usually being people who can't afford to lose that money who are really really ready to throw a bag at it. So I don't know. Like I was conflicted. Like I think on one hand it was really really fun and really exciting to see so many people who wanted to be represented by a Boogle and who were priced out but wanted to like play a part and really like oh, there was a lot of people saying, oh, this is the closest I'll ever be to a Boogle and that kind of stuff. Like it was really fun to see people who wanted to be a part of the Boogle ecosystem, couldn't afford it, and they went to different options that were available. But it was also really sad to see a bunch of people lose money because you could see some of those things that were at certain prices, and it was just very you could be pretty sure that it was going to be worth less in a
Yeah.
pretty short period of time. So it was conflicting. Like it was different. But part of the journey.
Yo, I got a question. So, all right, for Boogles, right, or Boogle, like, so it comes from like, or it's like a play on like fucking like Casper, I guess, and then also, like, is it Boggle? I don't know if I'm saying this right, bro. I'm just like going off of like certain things that I've read. So I've seen
Mhm.
like like some Twitter threads and things like that. Just talking about like let's say, like the history around like let's just say a Boggle Boogle and by definition, so boggle is, let me see if I get this right, it's like a Scottish word, and it means like ghost.
Yeah.
um
So I can't talk to exactly the creation like as I said
sure.
with the kind of format of how it worked out was like the character was created and then the lore was kind of created after
Okay,
which
word
the
word.
yeah, so the lore was done by me and I thought this is like a really really cool way to encapsulate like what a Boogle is because I'm quite passionate that like a PFP needs to be like it can't be too spooky. Like it needs to have like some sort of element of like cute or good art or just like people want to be represented by it. Like no
Hmm.
one wants to be like a super spooky Grim Reaper, but people might want to be a dead god. You know what I mean?
Yeah, word.
Yeah, it's like it's a different like concept, and we've seen people who go too far into the spooky side with like wicked craniums on ETH got kind of stuck in that skull narrative, and then like those Grim Reapers on Sol or whatever they're called that launched on Solana ages ago. Like if you go too kind of scary, then it's like
Agreed.
people don't want to be represented by it. Like they don't want their online persona being like full metal like intense stuff.
Yeah.
So
Slate
and not
does.
that and not that you can do that too easily with pixel art. We were never going to do that. But I wanted to combine like a cool mysterious lore, which like the Bogle Man is like and this is just me looking it up. Like I don't have a particular background in this
Sure,
kind of
sure.
lore. But the Bogleman is kind of like the boogeyman of like Scottish lore, and then it like kind of combines that with the cheeky charm of Casper Goat. Caspar is like that was pretty much the concept that I had in my head. It's like cool, these Boogles are they're interesting. They have like a cool kind of background and lore wise, but they're also they're here to like engage and people should be wanting to be represented by them rather than being like specifically a boogeyman. You know what I mean?
Yeah, word. Okay, so the word, so it's pronounced bogle, I'm guessing.
I mean
um
that's how I pronounce it. But yeah,
Okay, cool, cool. So for like Bogle, because that's why I was kind of like looking it up. So is Bogle, is that like the origin? Is that where the boogeyman comes from? Like, is it come from like I don't know. I don't know if it's Scotland. I don't know where. I guess that comes from. But I was reading some shit. It's basically like the Bogleman was like this thing that would hide like in like the potato fields, and like, snatch people up or something like that?
I'm pretty sure
I
it comes from under your bed, dude.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm wondering. It's kind of like, yo, is that the original, like where the boogeyman, as I know the boogeyman, as a fucking little kid, you know what I mean? Like, scared to, have my leg hanging over the side of the bed, like that's what I think of the boogeyman. But that's what I was wondering, like, does the term boogeyman originate from Bogle? I guess, like, is that where
Sounds like
this
it.
whole story comes from?
Well, I don't think
Yeah,
they
I mean,
Or do
invented
you
the
know?
boogeyman.
I'm a little off book here, so I'm not gonna pretend that I know what I'm talking about the full lore of the boogeyman, but I
Oh, okay,
think
all right, it's all good.
I think there's like a few different origins from a few different countries, and like in that particular story, that's like how they kind of got their boogeyman. But I don't know where the kind of current narrative came from.
I didn't know that
So
that was
back
part of the name origination for Boogle, though. That's cool.
back in the day, my aunt used to tell me that the boogeyman would turn little kids into chocolate chip cookies, and that little black kids like me were the chocolate chips, and she would scare the shit out of me with
And the
that.
white kids were the cookie?
I don't know, man.
I
There
don't even
wasn't a lot of
understand how that
logic
would
to
work.
it.
That's hilarious. Damn, what were we talking about before that? Because
Oh,
I
I was
had
gonna say,
I had a question going, and then now I'm like, my head is wrapped around this boogeyman thing.
yeah, I know. See, and my head's wrapped around this boogeyman too, because I'm thinking like, okay, so here we are. We got George in the house, right? We got the co-founder, the multiple hat wearing gentleman over here, and that's what I was thinking. Like, yo, man, like as the co-founder, you chose to say like, okay, like let's use kind of something scary mixed with something that's like not as scary, but still, it still has something to do with like specters, ghosts, right? With like, like Boo Casper the ghost and things like that. So, my other question that I do have is what's your favorite scary movie?
Interesting. My favorite scary movie. I mean, probably like the OG kind of Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street. I think is like one that I kind of actually have seen a couple times. I think like is it Johnny Depp's in the first or the second
Yeah,
one?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
old Wes Craven originals. Yeah.
yeah. I like those. The new ones are actually too scary. Like I think,
Really?
well, not like too scary, but the new ones are pretty good at like intentionally fucking you up from a psychological point of view. The old ones are just like, we'll put a bunch of scary stuff in and see what comes out. The new ones are like proper spooky.
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
done their own research now to make scary movies scary as fuck.
Yeah.
Word. Yeah, I was gonna say I like well, I feel like I did like some of the there I feel like it's kind of played out now, but like a lot of like the possession
Yeah,
scary movies, because there's a
I fuck with
million of
those.
them. I mean
Mm.
there I
The Conjuring
initially
and
like
shit.
yeah.
Mm.
I mean, like, let's say the first Conjuring, there's probably a million of them, but I'll tell you what, like, out of the, let's say, possession movies that I've seen, the top two, and you guys can look these up. The best ones are, for one, okay, we'll honorable mention to the original, Exorcist or whatever, but there is, speaking of the Exorcist, I know it's a side note, bro, but I actually know a nun, bro, and it's her uncle was a he was a priest who actually did an exorcism for the Catholic Church. And she's a nun, and she told me, she was like, yeah, like she just told me this was like maybe like 5 years ago, but she was like, yeah, and they I heard that using some of the documents and stuff um from the exorcism, they actually made a movie. And I was like, yo, sister, you ever heard about The Exorcist? She was like, nah, like, but anyway, that's a side note. But yo, my two favorite movies, I feel like I could talk about this shit forever. But my two favorite movies out of all the possession movies are, one, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Have you guys
Yep.
ever seen that?
Yep.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
one of
that
like the
shit's
OG
scary.
ones. Yeah, for sure. And the second one is another one. It's called Deliver Us from Evil.
Yep.
And it's got guy, I think his name is Eric Bana, I think is his name, and he plays a detective, he's a cop. And yeah, super fire fire possession movies. But besides that, I feel like a lot of the, like, just say possession, like, oh, get possessed, haunted house, get possessed stuff. I feel it's kind of played out. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah, like Insidious kind of did it, and The Conjuring, and then that became like the meta of fucking horror movies for a little bit. I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. It's
Paranormal
Poltergeist scared me
Activity.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Poltergeist scared me back in the day, and then the movie that fucked me up the most, and I mean this is like pretty much the age where I
So that was The Grudge.
stopped being afraid. That one was scary, but very similar to that. I think it was called The Ring. That scared the shit out of me. I was
classic.
between like 10 and 13 or whatever when that one
scared the
dropped,
shit out of
and I
me.
was
And
like,
then, well, The Grudge
wow.
is like not like a direct sequel, but like related to The Ring. And bro, that's like the scene in the shower. I was like young-ish. I was scared to take a shower for like 4 days until I smelled like absolute dog shit. And I was like, all right, just gotta bite the bullet and do it.
I can't remember if it was The Ring or if it was The Grudge, but the girl walking backwards.
That's
like,
The Ring.
Like,
no way.
yeah, it was
Out of the TV,
where-
right?
I don't know if she's walking
It's
out
both.
of the
They're both like a girl with like long hair covering their face, right?
Yeah.
Like a little
Yeah.
girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
that fucking that Mirrors movie fucked me up for a while as well. I hated that.
Oh yeah, I forgot
is
about
that?
that. Yep.
It's like
it's a movie. It's got
terrifying
Keith
concept.
Sutherland or something in it.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that one. Interesting.
That one's it's recent. It's recent as sometime last 10 years.
I like zombie movies. I feel like I'm not a huge
I was
scary
gonna- I
movie
was
guy.
just
Like I
gonna
don't
say
like to
this.
stress myself out for no fucking reason. But
Yeah.
like Dawn of the Dead is like one of my all-time favorite scary movies. Like those
It's
are
a really good movie.
yeah,
Bro, Dawn of the Dead is probably the best zombie movie ever.
facts.
Like, I mean, not in the sense of just fucking scary. It's a fucking good ass fucking movie, bro. Like that shit's like,
Yeah,
it's fucking awesome,
that's
bro.
my
It's got
all-time
like the
top scaries
drama.
probably.
It's well, yeah. I was gonna say, as for like top scary movies, like, I probably have to think about it because I've seen like fucking like hundreds.
I watched The Shining more recently, like as an adult, and I thought that was still
Shining
pretty
is
scary.
gas,
Like
yeah.
that held up pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah,
The word.
yeah. Stephen King always master of fucking horror. All right, I got a couple more questions about like crypto stuff. Unless we're
Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah, I just kinda went on a side note, bro.
fucking nerd.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit. I mentioned it before we started recording, but I want to talk about like OK Bears a little bit and just kind of like the current state of Solana. So I want to hear your opinion, George, on what you think the current state of Solana is and what critiques you maybe have on where we're at and what you think we can do to improve in the future.
It's a big question. Okay, I gotta watch my words a little bit here. I think that the state of Solana it's interesting. It's at a point where we have like, and I'll use the kind of double-edged sword metaphor again. The scalability and the zero barrier to entry that comes with having no gas fees and incredibly easy onboarding is it's a tricky one because it allows people who are extremely ready to sell, and it allows people to sell with almost zero friction. Friction from like a UX point of view is, that's pretty much everything. Like if there is zero friction to do something, then users are pretty quick to do it. So I think we are in a state where we're just trying to figure out what the market values most, and it's very quick to value or devalue certain things, and we've seen that over time with mini cycles that go from there was the 101, like the 101 100 pieces of X that was kind of off the back of Boogle that boomed for a little while, and then there was the token one with the dragons and the Teos killing it, and obviously DeGods as well. And then there was like now there's the new art matter and the new like all branding, yada yada yada, and like the ETH people are coming all throughout the whole journey has been the dream narrative that everyone keeps singing to. So I think we're just like in a maturing market that doesn't really know what it values yet, and I think there's been things that it's all signs of a small market. Like when we deal with lower cap coins, you look at more reflexivity. Like they can be overvalued extremely quickly and then undervalued extremely quickly, and it kind of reverberates over time until maybe they're at more fair value. And I think that Solana is doing that with these different metas that come up where they shoot for the sky and they just go way too valuable, and then they come back that are way too cheap. And that allows market participants to have a genuine edge, because there's people who don't really yet understand how to value these things, and like no one really knows how to value these things. The new asset, it's a new asset class.
Yep.
But I think we're just going through the growing pains of maturing as an ecosystem. In any ecosystem where you've got OG collectors who are 5-6 months into the space, like that's still got a long way to go. And I think we're getting there. Like I think it's a matter of, will Solana reflect the ecosystem on ETH, or will it be a throughput specific chain where we value high volume transactions, native tokens, like metaverse gaming? Like, will we have that be the main narrative um, of Solana, where that throughput is important to people, and we have that kind of VC-like investment thesis is where we need these deliverables and hard roadmaps for people to tick off? Or will we have the more brand and community focus that we see on many of the top projects on ETH, and not as much focus on the deliverables? Like, I think we're just kind of going to reverberate and go through different waves until we figure that out. So we're just kind of like, just like the crypto market at the moment, we're just ranging. I think people are just figuring out what really matters and what we place value to. And it's exciting. There's a lot of opportunities that come with this part of any cycle. It's exciting, it's frustrating, it's stressful, it's really fun. Like it's just a whole heap of things thrown in one. So I think like anyone who is feeling uncomfy or frustrated with the path so far, I think you've just got to put survival mode on and just make sure you don't burn your bag, and you kind of take learnings from each thing. But yeah, we're in an interesting state, and I think it's all to be expected with a growing ecosystem. And we've just got to see where the market kind of places its value, because the market's never wrong, which is something that I hold very kind of key to everything I do.
Facts. Yep. I have a question from DGen Swings actually that kind of leans itself towards what you just said. So he wanted to know what you saw as the main differentiators between Sol and ETH NFTs on the team side, as far as like execution goes. Like you mentioned, ETH is a lot more kind of brand focused. Sol, because of the technological capabilities of the chain, there's a lot more like roadmap and execution focus. And then as well on the community side, like the expectations that we have in Sol versus somebody who maybe spends most of their time in ETH.
Yeah, I think the two parts of that question are pretty related, because the team side actually kind of reflects what the expectations are from the market.
As it should,
And I think,
probably.
yeah, absolutely. And I think we've seen a lot of projects go wrong with overpromising what they can actually deliver. And I think that's off the back of the core expectations. Like, as a team looking to mint something, it's kind of treated as a raise for your company. And people want to make sure that that raise is complete. And I think that where a lot of people go wrong is they go, okay, no one's going to buy our stuff unless we are delivering on a daily basis. We've got, metaverse, P2E, like all of these, buzzwords. And I think the core difference is teams on ETH don't have necessarily that same expectation. Like we've seen with the Bears, to drop their name, is like, they minted, was it a week ago? Is it less? I don't even know, but it's less than a week ago. And there's already a lot of expectations on them actually putting through deliverables, outside of the number going, outside of them being 80x from 50x from mint in a week and having insane volume. Those, in my opinion, are deliverables, because that's something that a lot of other people can't deliver. But I think a lot of the ecosystem expects more. Like I think there's just a higher expectation, and it kind of it's a good and a bad thing, because it makes teams more accountable, and it has more of the like deadline focus, like as if investors in the mint is kind of like a VC, making sure that the boxes are ticked. But it also comes with teams having to rush execution, and maybe release things before they're ready, or prematurely, or do all of these things at a pace where is suboptimal because they want to keep up with market expectations. Whereas on ETH, it's very much I think here is probably my high level comparison. On ETH, it's under promise, over deliver, and on Sol, it's over promise, try and deliver. And I think that comes from the expectations from the market participants.
That's a bar.
Yeah, fair enough. You are early-ish adopter, assumingly because, I don't know, you found Sol in like the 12s and 20s, you said. Do you have another early-ish adopter call for us?
I don't know how I can answer this without it being financial advice.
This is not
Yeah, no, you gotta
financial
just-
advice.
Yeah, just be like NFA. There you go.
Sorry,
It's
not
done.
call maybe isn't the right word. Prediction, something you dream about. I don't know.
Theory.
I think that at the moment it seems like L1s are going to keep on printing. So I think that if we get a very large, or if we get like a larger liquidation cascade, or 30K that everyone wants, or like any of those big drops, I am personally going to be loading up on Sol and Near and probably Luna, and just kind of those old L1s. And I think that they probably outperform on a bounce, but they also get wrecked if we go into a lengthy bear market. So don't buy them if you don't want that.
So I'm not a trader at all. I just kind of buy stuff and hold it, and maybe don't make money. But everybody wants us to go
Wait,
to 30K
you just said you
Bitcoin.
went full time into NFTs. Are you going to be all right?
I think wag me.
Step
Right?
in.
Yeah. But yeah, so we want a 30K. What's the deal with that? Why do we want that?
Oh yeah, I mean I probably said that wrong. Most people don't want 30K because that is, really violent and vicious for a lot of altcoins. But the dream bid for, I think, a lot of traders is looking at that previous support that was tested in like the May bottom of like 29K, around abouts there. And there seems to be a lot of kind of bid demand, but it's crypto and things can go a lot lower than what people think they can. So I wouldn't necessarily be as confident. I certainly wouldn't touch leverage anywhere near that incredibly volatile point should it reach there. But I think that's like a lot of people. It's kind of like the same with NFT. Like, it's that 50 IQ, 100 IQ, and 200 IQ meme is very accurate in like anything we do in crypto. And like the 100 IQ thing, in my opinion, is that you draw a horizontal line between the May bottom and now, and then you bid there, and then it goes up instantly. And I think that's like what a lot of people are looking for who are maybe positioned for that. But yeah, at the moment, you just it's better to sit on your hands because we're going to range for infinity until the market decides where we're going.
Cool. I got a little bag of Near, so that's good news for me. A little bag of Sol too, obviously. I when I first found Near, copy traded you for a bit because you were like number one on the Paris marketplace top traders or something. I think a lot of the NFTs we bought in the early Near days, and when I say early Near days, I mean like 2 months ago, have gone close to zero now, but fun stuff always.
Yeah. I thought I'd have a big brain approach where I just put like 10 or 15K into whatever the top three were and then never look again.
Yeah.
And
That
I
was
am never
everyone's.
looking again. So
Yeah, that was everyone's approach at the time. We were just early and we were gonna crush, but yeah, it is what it is. It happens. Who are some of your favorite one-of-one artists on Solana, and why do you recommend, if you recommend, Sol as the chain for one-of-one artists versus other chains? What's the benefit there?
yeah, I mean it's a big question answering my favorites. I think like Sleeper is probably my favorite, from an art, like just a pure art point of view. I think Celestial Body is also up there as one of my favorites. Rupture has some really, really nice work. Oh God, there's a lot that I don't want to. I won't go past three because it'll
Okay, Fair.
I'll start saying things wrong. But yeah, there's a whole heap of, all the URS artists. Like there's some really, really, really nice work on Soul, obviously John Lay and everything like that. And I think like the reason that artists should use Soul at least to get started is that a lot of these people have never really monetized their work in a digital way. Like they've been trying to go through the traditional art rails, and it's pretty tricky to figure out, where that um, it's hard to navigate selling and monetizing your work in the traditional space because it's incredibly competitive. It's into the logistics in shipping physical pieces, and getting your name out there is an absolute nightmare. And there are still a fair few rails to go with on ETH. Like you basically want to reduce the friction to zero if you're going to try something new. And on Sol, there is as close to zero barrier to entry as possible. So that's kind of what you want to do with getting anyone to try something new. You want to position it in a way that it's as easy as possible. And the friction of having to load up an account and get a MetaMask and try and put ETH on there, and then also pay the fee for the OpenSea initial like the initial kind of fee that you need to set up the OpenSea account, and then the gas fees to mint your first piece. Like that's enough friction for it to be annoying. And then the other thing is on Sol, you can sell your piece for like $40 and make $40 on ETH. It's really not worth purchasing something for that kind of microtransaction because the gas will be equal to the transaction, and people just aren't as willing to put their money into that. So I think like if you're wanting to start somewhere, you want as little friction as possible, and you also want to be somewhere where you can really start from the ground and work up, and you can, a lot of these people there's people who've been selling posters for $20 or printouts or vinyls or whatever they have been selling previously for under $100. So why not do that on chain, and then over time, hopefully you can build it and take advantage of like the reflexive nature of NFTs.
Word. While we're on the subject of favorites, who are your favorite Boogles?
Man, I'm going to talk about artwork because I'm not gonna talk about people.
Oh, all right.
I think the last Boogle was one of my favorites with like the Starry Night artwork. But yeah, it's funny every time like someone like a Boogle changes hands or like someone buys one, I always like welcome in the Discord and go, oh, it's one of my favorites. Like it really is. It's really hard because like they've all had such a like obviously massive impact on my life. They all are like represent different stories, struggles, and success in the last 6 months. So it's like it's really hard for me to dissect which is a favorite or even which is like marginally better than others. They all represent something like really core to the journey. So yeah, I don't have favorites, but I mean I don't have favorites, but I also like I have 100 favorites.
Just tell us who's the funniest.
I mean, probably Rain. He's pretty fucking funny.
Word. I tried getting him on, but he said he was too shy.
That guy is pretty fucking funny.
He's great.
He is. He is great.
Yeah, I was just looking at the some of the Boogles, and I don't know why I really like 89 with the red background there. Do you know who holds that one?
The red background.
It's not
red background, gold chain.
Oh yeah. So that was owned by Adam Ape, who was the founder of Voxels, and now it's owned by a guy called Copers.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, that's a good one. George, what do you get into outside of NFTs and shit?
Yeah, so I'm a pretty like active guy. I try and do like a lot of running. I try and like if I'm near a beach, I'll try and surf. I grew up like in Australia, if you can tell by the accent.
Yeah.
I think every Australian kind of lives within 100 k's of the beach, so and a lot of the time it's a lot closer. So I kind of grew up a pretty surf orientated, beach orientated kid. So as at any opportunity I can get to get in the water and get a board under my arms, I'll try and do that. Conversely, if it's snowing, have spent a lot of time snowboarding, so big fan of that side. And then just so people don't think I'm completely sports orientated, I actually spend a lot of my time playing chess at the moment. So we're kind of doing a little bit of not traveling, but like living and working overseas. And when I don't have video games, I kind of need to replace that competitive edge. So I'm not really like, because I used to play a lot of kind of local sports, the futsal or whatever, and then video games. But without those two things to compete in my life, I have to replace it with chess, which isn't quite the, MMA, futsal, video game victories. It's pretty pathetic, but it replaces it nonetheless and keeps my brain moving. So yeah, I kind of that's how I spend my time at the moment.
Are you a Call of Duty guy? You trying to 1v1 Frank?
I think I'm more of a Mortal Kombat guy myself.
Oh, okay.
If anyone wants to have a crack at Mortal Kombat 11, I reckon they'd be pretty
Yeah, see,
unsuccessful.
I tried playing Mortal Kombat, bro. Like, cause I used to go to the arcade, and I used to like, you remember like at the arcade, like how it had like the joysticks and shit. You know what I mean? And the
Yep.
fucking buttons you spam, and people are waiting in line and shit.
Mhm.
So, yeah, bro. Then I fucking, Mortal Kombat had came out. I was like, oh shit, about to fucking, slap these people the way I was doing it at the arcade. But I don't know, man. I don't know if it's my age, my dexterity, but man, I was getting
The combos got too
bodied.
confusing.
Well, I just, to do these type of things, I don't know if it's just the game mechanics, bro, but one of my friends, he bought, I don't know what they're called, but because I play on Xbox, but one of my friends, he got that thing. It's like a fucking board, and it's just like it is at
Gamepad.
the arcade.
Yeah,
Is that what it's called? And it's got the
Yeah.
joystick on
like a
it.
fight
Yeah,
pad.
he's a fucking monster, bro. Monster of fucking Mortal Kombat. But I was like, man, like I feel like, me, I'm like a fucking one trick pony type of guy, bro. Like it's like, I don't want to fucking like jump on that fucking gamepad and you know what I mean, like slap people in Mortal Kombat. But then when it's time to fucking get on Call of Duty with my friends, then I'm getting fucking wrecked, and they're just like, yeah, bro, yeah, you should, yeah, don't you have something to do? You know what I mean? And they're trying to swap me out. You know what I mean?
Do you
So,
go mic on when you
uh,
play Call of Duty chapter?
oh, bro, of
Hell
course,
yeah.
of
I
course.
can
It's
imagine that,
crazy.
dude.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. There was like some videos out there, like, I remember one time, bro, it wasn't one of my proudest moments, but, I was freestyling, bro, at like 4 a.m. And during a search and destroy match, I was playing, I can't remember what Call of Duty it was, but yeah, I didn't know, bro, like, but I was playing, this was like a couple months later, and I'm getting all these friend requests because that was back in like I think it was the old Xbox because it used to actually notify you because it doesn't really now. You just get followers or some shit. But anyway, and people were adding me. They're like, "Yo, man, you're a fucking legend," and all sort of shit. And I'm just like, "Yo, man, like, what are you talking about?" They're like, "Yeah, man, the video." I'm like, "What video are you talking about?"
Oh,
Yeah,
no
your
way.
chapter. Yeah, they're like, your chapter books, bro. There's fucking video. I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then he sent me the link, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And the dude, his name, he deleted it, but
Oh,
his name's
bro.
he was a Call of Duty streamer. His name's Dysfunction, and yeah, he fucking recorded like all the parts. Like he would literally die just to hear me like it, like in the fucking like the little chat, like
Yeah.
talking shit because I was talking shit to all his friends,
You gotta
everybody.
see if
But
you
oh
can
yeah,
find that, and we'll post it on the DeGodCast Twitter somehow.
oh my god. But like that's like I don't know, I feel like that's probably like for me, like that's why I don't really say like too like I'm not really like on Twitter like saying a lot and shit because I feel like for like Solana and shit it's like yeah like I feel like the whole like yeah like we all want to like rise up as an ecosystem, let's be
A
friends
little
and all
too
sort of
buddy
shit,
buddy.
bro. But yeah, bro, like it's kind of like yeah, but where's the smoke? Where's the
Yeah, I
competition?
agree.
Can't we? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like I feel it, I understand it, but it's kind of like that's why I'm just like I'd rather be no comment than be
The problem with
Mr.
Twitter and
Aggro.
the problem with like anonymity and Web3 is people don't know when you're fucking around. I do
Yeah,
I do
true,
my
true.
best to make sure that everybody who follows me on Twitter, everyone that I interact with kind of knows that my persona is almost everything that comes out of my mouth is like fucking around. Like I don't take myself too seriously. I don't think anyone should take themselves too seriously. But I agree, bro. Like you got to be able to talk shit and have fun. And like for me, like I talk shit the most to the people that like I care about and I'm friends with and shit. And I feel like it just
But
would help us grow and just be like less sensitive and more like adult and grown up as a fucking ecosystem if we could all just rag on each other on Twitter all the time.
Yo, once JB starts talking shit,
I
like
also
it's
don't
only
stop.
like an hour. It's only like an hour or two before you see Frank post something like "Let's not be fucking assholes." As
yeah,
deep
yeah,
now.
Oh,
exactly. Like
those-
that's a dead ass, bro.
None of those have come from me, dude. That Those do
Dude,
not
I know
line
at
up.
least one hat.
Those do not line up.
But you know, like I think like another aspect, I guess I'll say this. I guess I could recalibrate this. So for Twitter, you know, it's kind of like it's just, you know, people talking, right? People talking, people posting, like whatever, like, you know, but I feel like when it comes down to like, let's say like on Xbox or in online games, it's like not only are we talking, but we're actually, you know, like doing things. It's kind of like, bro, like,
Right.
you know, run this 1v1.
Like I can
even,
teabag you.
You know, oh yeah, exactly. And it's kind of like, you know, I can slap your body, but also, you know what I mean? Like if, you know, you have a problem, like, you know, we're talking about things that we can actually act on versus like, you know, we're just, you know, talking to talk, right? And that's why for me, like, yeah, bro, I'll be playing Xbox, like, fuck yeah, bro, put me in fucking Call of Duty, bro, fucking Warzone. And, you know, I wish, you know, we'd be playing, cause you know, we got the chess channel in the DAO now. And it's kind of like, bro, I wish we had like the audio chat, bro, like to talk shit, like during, you know, like chess. That'd be fucking sick.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm all for like, you know, the competitive shit talking. You know,
I think
like,
it should be a
whether
part
it's
of everything,
aggro
dude. I hate when
or whatever.
when they call the penalties now in like the NFL and shit because dudes are talking shit after they score a touchdown. It's like, what?
Yeah, lame.
Soft.
But you know, I guess you know, it is what it is. But yeah,
I love that. I don't do much like online gaming anymore. I feel like I kind of fell off a bit at one point in my life, and then you just can't really keep up with these kids these days. Like I tried Warzone and Fortnite and shit, and I just got absolutely murdered. So, but I do like we'll have people over and we'll play like, you know, Super Smash Bros or like fucking Mario Kart, and your boy talks the most shit out of anybody. We already knew that.
yeah, word.
I got a couple questions from Twitter, George, unless Slate Chapter, you guys got anything else?
Oh, no, we're good, bro.
Cool. The first one is from Saint Angelical, and it says, what is your favorite Belle_Soul outfit? I'm assuming that's like your girlfriend or something.
Yeah, I think that'd be an interesting conversation if that was not my girlfriend. My favorite outfit of Belle's, jeez. I don't know, she wears a lot of nice like kind of Zimmerman stuff. And she's got some cool like floral dresses which are super cute.
She's Zimmerman?
Yeah, it's a brand.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Cute sundresses, got it. My wife wears a dress every day of her life, so I feel that.
Yep.
And then the second one is from Jet Pippo, and it's a 2-piece. The first question is, what is your favorite community? And I'm going to preface that by saying outside of Google.
Good. My favorite community. I've recently rediscovered the Aussie DAO, which has been nostalgic to get back
Nice.
part of. It's been pretty fun to hang out with them and just like kind of I don't even really like post much in there. I just kind of like lurk a little bit. But then I'm in a couple like it's hard to do. Like community probably implies like a lot of people, so maybe like Mindfolk. The Mindfolk Discord's pretty cool to chill in. And then I'm in a couple like more ETH based group chats like Butterfly DAO, and I've got like a little group chat with some people that I have kind of been talking to since like May or like April even of last year, and I've watched them all outperform me on Bored Apes. So as much as I despise them for that, it's fun to hang out in there.
Nice. When's the last time you did a shoey?
It's probably been a while actually, and the last time I did it, I probably can't remember it. So, I don't know, probably in my late teens, I would say.
Oh man, okay.
Oh jeez.
I'm trying to bring. Well, first of all, not a lot of people knew what shoeys were outside of you Aussies, obviously. But I'm trying to just like
Kaito Ivasa.
Yeah, I'm trying to make that the norm on Twitter. Like I want everyone to just be fucking doing shoeys because they're hyped for no apparent reason. So maybe you know, with your help, Aussie NFT guys' help, we can kind of, you know, make shoeys a little more popular. Involved. Yeah, man, just get like you know, some fucking fun shit on the timeline. Like, who doesn't want to see a guy chug a beer out of a shoe? It's electric.
It is it's funny how Australia is like slowly got more like I think I watch a lot of UFC, so I'm not sure if you've seen it from Tai Tuivasa with his with his shoe beer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny how he just like knocks some dude out and then immediately demands like 8 beers before he gets finished with his walk off. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I wouldn't recommend it from a throat health point of view. I think last time I did it, I got like tonsillitis the next day or something. So I think that probably put me out of my shoey game for a while.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, it's not something I've done for a long time.
I'm over here telling people it's good for your immune system. So, hey, but none of us are doctors, just like none of us give financial advice. So, the second part of that Jet Pippo question was, how big are your calves? Are you big? I guess you said you are very active. You got some swole ass calves.
I mean, I've got like runner's calves. Like they're not anything that like I don't think I've ever spent
Give me a fruit.
leg day in my.
Give me a fruit. I used to work with a buddy who had like fucking mangoes for calves. Give me a fruit.
Bro.
I mean, I'm trying to think of. I mean, they're not like defined enough to be, a particular fruit. Like, do you want the girth of my leg, or are you looking at?
I'm just looking at your calf.
I don't know if I can come up with a fruit,
Fine.
But I would say they're like in between frequent walker and a regular cyclist.
All right, I'm looking at mine right now. I'm saying like a I don't know, half of a baked potato, maybe. I guess that's not a fruit, but
Yeah, bro, I'm literally like fucking checking my calf girth right now, bro.
I'll get my boy to send a picture of his calves and send it to the group chat so you can see what I'm talking about. He's got these fucking legit mangoes. So I don't know.
Everybody send your calves to the group chat.
Yeah. Hashtag calves for DeGodCast. We'll retweet all your calves. Post them on Twitter. All right, George, this has been fun, man. We appreciate you coming on. Always, good to talk to people, get a little bit of outside perspective from, just DeGods, talk about other projects in Solana in general. So we really, we appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's been real fun.
For sure. And Slate, Chapter, we out.